Welcome to Tech Talk, sponsored by KeyCodeMedia. There are three key rules of color correction. Rule number one, white levels must never exceed 100%, and black levels must not go below 0%. And we monitor these levels on the waveform, and we clamp them as necessary with the broadcast safe filter. I'll illustrate all of that today. The second rule is to remove a color, you add the opposite color. If you have too much blue, the opposite of blue is yellow. Now, the way that Final Cut 10 works is rather than working on a wheel, as every other video editor does, Final Cut 10 uses the color board. To add a color, you move a puck above the line. To remove a color, you drag a puck down a line. Again, I'll show you how that works in today's session as well. Rule number three is that equal amounts of red, green, and blue equal gray. Combining colors in video is additive, which means that they add together, and when you add them all together, they create white. Printing is a subtractive color process. When you add red, green, and blue together in printing, it equals black. So here's the secret. Although everybody nods their head and says, equal amounts of red, green, and blue equal gray, nod their head, yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's not really actionable. But when we turn this around, it becomes one of the most powerful rules in color correction inside any video editor. And that is, if something is supposed to be gray, it must contain equal amounts of red, green, and blue. Now, what scope do we have that allows us to see the amount of red, green, and blue in an image? Right, the RGB parade, and, in its own way, the vector scope. So if there's a blue cast, we can use the vector scope or the RGB parade to help us precisely determine how to get rid of that blue cast, or orange cast, or any other aberration of color. We can use the RGB parade and the vector scope to fix. If something is supposed to be gray, it must contain equal amounts of red, green, and blue. If you look at a professionally designed set, on that set somewhere you'll find something which is a neutral gray, a TV black and a TV white. It may be a coffee mug. It may be the frame of a picture. But a good art director will always put something on the set that's neutral gray, which enables the colorist or the editor to center on that gray and dial out any color aberrations that may be in the shot, with it still providing something which looks natural within the environment of the set. It's a very secret, sneaky, very powerful technique, and we'll be using that today as well. Here, oh dear, we've got plenty of skin, but all of it is green. Let's first think about the idea that if something is supposed to be gray, equal amounts of red, green, and blue. Well, do we see anything gray in the shot? And the answer is absolutely yes. Her white t-shirt, remember white is gray. Her black vest, remember black is gray, because white, black, and gray are equal amounts of red, green, and blue. So I'm going to select this clip and go to the crop menu and crop in so I see just her t-shirt. Let's go to 50% so I can see a little bit more here. And we'll just pull that over to here. There we go. This is supposed to be white. And even to our eye here, we can clearly see that it may be any color you want, but white is not one of them. Command 7, let's reveal the scope. And we've got this strong green cast. Well, first thing that I want to do then is to grab the global puck and drag it until I remove the green cast. Now, the way that color works inside the color board is you add color by going above the line, and you remove color by going below the line. Now, I will confess that I am not a fan of a rectangular color board at all. I find it very, very awkward to use. But once you understand the process, adding color above the line, removing color below the line, I grab the puck and I don't look at the color board at all. I'm watching simply as I drag wildly around what's happening inside the vector scope. And I finally get the vector scope parked where I want it. If I try to watch what I'm doing in the color board, chaos ensues. It just doesn't work for me. But now notice that t-shirt is now white. Let's go back to the inspector, turn off the crop, and look at that. This is where we started. This is where we ended up. Totally improved.